God, I forgot to unmute this stuff. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. I was worried for a second, but we're good. Hey, everybody. We're going to be reacting to the Starship stream today. It has just gotten started, and they're T-minus 25 to launch. I've got my pre-launch pretzels here, preheated, or reheated, rather. I baked them earlier, and I reheated them. Got my King Canna Crush, and we have a new friend, which is this snake plant. You can see it there. Starting to come up, and it'll just be living there for now. But yeah, we're gonna be reacting to Flight 9 today. This is gonna be awesome. It's gonna I'm very much looking forward to this. First flight of a booster, and a lot of things to look forward to. So let's flip on over to the stream here.
Reach all of those additional.
Holy fuck! It just started yelling at me. All right.
Ship's ascent burn, a hardware failure in one of its sea-level Raptor engines took out that engine, the 2 remaining sea-level engines, and a Raptor vacuum engine. That's 4 of the 6 engines that ship has. This was a different failure than we saw on Flight 7, and the fixes that we put in place did work as expected. So this was a new issue on Flight 8.
There we go.
And welcome to iterative engineering.
Right. Losing hardware.
Look at how good it looks.
Potential outcome of any test program.
I love these.
That's why we're always prepared with safety measures in place and also ready to have boots on the ground to
24
assist
minutes.
with anything like debris cleanup. We can coordinate with all the necessary parties, organizations, administrations, for safety in advance and in an ongoing basis during our test campaigns to plan for as many possible outcomes. Definitely do want to say thank you, though, to the people of the Bahamas, the government of the Bahamas, who worked with us so closely since Flight 8.
We took full responsibility for the cleanup, and in doing so, we had people on the ground in the Bahamas within 12 hours to help with debris recovery. So all that said, we're moving forward in our development cycle with safety at the top of mind. And we fly again today to get this current iteration of ship to space and back.
That's right. Putting hardware in a flight environment as frequently as possible so you're seeing how things behave all together in the real world. Then you're solving problems as they pop up.
Yeah, we'll see. I want to see it succeed so bad. I want it to succeed so bad today.
Same philosophy was used to develop Falcon 9.
Today, we're looking to get our first re-entry with the latest iteration of ship, while intentionally stressing the super heavy vehicle during its return to get data on its boundaries. And by stressing, we mean that we'll be pushing the flight envelope of super heavy as we fly at a higher angle of attack during descent towards the Gulf. Angle of attack in this case means that super heavy is pitched up to maximize drag and slow return. Because of this test, we will not be attempting to catch and recover Super Heavy, which again is flying for its 2nd time today. So for a brief moment, this booster will hold the title as
they're not there. Okay, I was
like, that's right.
I didn't know where their camera went. I was like, what happened to it? Did I somehow delete it? Like, I was wigging out for a second there. I was tweaking. I was like, what's going on?
Super Heavy pushing itself and Starship into ascent over the Gulf. It's going to continue for about 2.5 minutes before we get to hot staging. Ship will ignite its engines. Booster will do its boost back burn and begin its flight experiments back for a hard splashdown in the Gulf of America. Meanwhile, ship continues its burn into space.
And ship will remain suborbital. We will be
Gulf of
deploying
America
8 Starlink
based
simulator satellites and then head towards re-entry. We'll relight a Raptor engine as well as test experiments during re-entry, such as missing tiles, metallic tiles, loading the vehicle's flaps, and then ship will attempt a flip maneuver, and if all goes planned, we'll conclude the test with a soft water splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So that's what we have.
That's
on
where
the
all the saltwater crocodiles are.
Hold on.
Flight 8's RUD taught us new lessons about Starship hardware, specifically the Raptor engines. And as we touched on earlier, the root cause was traced to a hardware failure in one of Starship's 3 center Raptor engines.
Yeah, just since that flight, we've done more than 100 long-duration Raptor tests at our facility in McGregor. Huge shout out to that team for really putting in the work to better understand what happened. As a result, the engines that are on Starship's upper stage on the pad right behind us have a few changes. One of the key ones we did was additional preload on some of the joints, essentially some additional
I am beyond excited for this launch.
A new nitrogen purge system for the engines themselves, and made some improvements to the propellant drain system.
Checks.
After our first ever super heavy refurb campaign, we static fired with all 33 Raptor engines. This was a chance to see all the hardware operating together, and for this flight, our teams had an opportunity to make adjustments or hardware replacements for this first ever reflight of the super heavy booster.
And then it was ship's turn. We took it through several static fires. First, we did this short duration single engine burn to simulate an in-space reignition of Raptor using those header tanks, those smaller tanks. Up in the nose cone.
And if you don't want to watch along with me, I do have the link in the description, I believe,
with all
for the
6
SpaceX
engines.
stream.
It's where you're really putting the
X.
entire propulsion system that's going to be used for the ship's ascent into space through the paces.
We hit 860 on
sure
YouTube, by the way, so thank you, everybody.
Before we go stack it on.
Really appreciate everybody popping on board.
And in the end, these changes represent the core of our test program. And reflying a booster for the first time is a major milestone.
You're as awesome as this booster getting
early in the flight
for the
test
first
program.
time.
Now, Falcon did it in just over 30 flights.
What's up, Keith? How's it going,
Starship's
brother?
Doing it today on just
we got Starship
flight.
again today.
It's not wild just because of how much faster that is. But
well, fingers crossed at least. Fingers crossed.
Starship is Falcon 9.
And maybe it won't explode this time.
23 metric tons into orbit. Starship is designed to lift 200.
That
200
so exciting.
metric tons
and
to
on top
orbit.
Of that, we're
What
also
a beautiful
reflying
rocket.
engine 314 for its
369,
flight, which you might recall
W!
is the engine with a pi on the nozzle, and there you can see
yeah, there's pi.
that engine
3.14.
there. It is a milestone, most definitely, but we do remain focused on getting to the point where no refurbishment is needed between any of the flights.
Yeah, that means
take a bite.
we
Chat.
want to launch it,
Chat.
bring it back,
Chat, please.
look at it, reload propellants, go again. That is really what's key. That is what full and rapid reusability will look like.
W.
We're coming to you today from Star Factory, our new 1 million square foot manufacturing facility in Starbase, Texas. The Super Heavy booster is the first stage of the Starship launch vehicle stack. It's the largest boost stage ever developed for any rocket ever. Having the largest rocket ever is a very cool engineering feat, but
hopefully this music doesn't get me clapped.
Is the ability to rapidly reuse that rocket to launch many other missions.
But if it does, I don't give a damn.
Reflying Booster 14 is an important first milestone in that we have proven that we can recover a vehicle, turn it around,
it was
and
worth
fly
it,
it
bro.
a second time.
We get sued.
But it's not a victory lap.
See you in court. It was only alleged. Allegedly, bro.
Looks like a vehicle where very few things have to happen on it in order to take back off again. So we catch the vehicle, put it back onto launch mount, put a new ship back on top with its payload, refuel, and take back off. And that same booster will come back to launch mount, and we do the same thing all over again.
I'm fucking sweating, bro.
Falcon is, reusing at
a pretty
high rate, and we get to go look at them and say, what did you learn?
I'm sweating more than like a peak
bad,
Fortnite game right now because of how excited I am.
Zero-touch refurbishment really looks like a commercial airliner. The advantage we have on Booster relative to when we developed Falcon 9, for instance, is this was really designed from the outset for rapid reusability.
This is the first relaunch of a recovered
from
one.
our version 1 and version 2 vehicles.
And as such, they are not trying to recover it again.
To inform the design of our
they are going to be doing a simulated catch in the Gulf of America,
will be the
not
first
Gulf of
time
Mexico.
that we've really attempted to make rapidly reusable
America,
on a rocket.
fuck yeah.
In the next iteration, we'll be able to add in new innovative materials and regenerative cooling that will enable rapid zero-touch refurbishment.
Rapid reusability, the ability to fly, turn the vehicle around, and refly again immediately is really the key goal of the Starship program.
It is
so
Gulf
cool
to
of
see
Canada,
our teams
bro.
working together as Starship is learning from Falcon
Laser
with
beam eyes.
reusability, and now we're seeing Starship do the same thing today. So all eyes on the rocket on the pad, getting ready to launch in just about 17 minutes from now.
That's right.
Sounds fine to you? Hell yeah.
Real quick, we're a little bit more than halfway full on fuel and locks on the booster, over 80% full on the ship, still have to fill those header tanks. But everything looking good. We're not tracking any issues on the range. As a reminder, we watch sea states, air, and land around the launch site here and also over in the Indian Ocean where we're going to be doing our reentry. Not tracking any blockers to launch at the moment. Weather is gorgeous, has not been a concern all day for launch. We've been moving through all of our pre-flight checkouts.
It was windy earlier,
so
I'm surprised to hear them say that, actually.
Shipping the booster ready for prop load, making sure guidance, navigation, and control are aligned. Everything's ready to go.
Man, look at how fucking slick and sexy that thing
looks. With the frost coming off, we're getting pretty full. We started loading.
I'm jacked up, bro. This is gonna be a good launch. It's gonna go real fast when it goes, though, guys. Like when this starts, it's gonna go like real quick.
Where we start with ship.
We're probably about 22 minutes to this thing being basically back landing
until just about
or the
3
booster
minutes
simulating its
before
landing in the Gulf of Mexico / America / Canada /
everything's looking great. Not tracking any vehicle issues, range issues, weather issues. We're looking really good right now for a launch at the top of our window right at 6:30 p.m. Central.
Yeah, seeing the propellant loading is making this getting more and more exciting. Today is going to be a wild ride for Super Heavy. We're
I just love how fucking
through
ethereal it
tests
looks.
To expand the envelope
it
on
looks
its
like a mystical
and get
beast.
flight data to make its return and catch more reliable. Now, another unique change in today's
with
flight
solid
will
rockets,
be
they're just like put together and then you light them and it goes, right? But this is kind of like there's a little bit more to it than that. It's very steampunk. It's like putting in the fuel every single time and being able to refill it immediately because of that. It's just there's so much cool technology at play here.
In different directions, and it was really small differences in the thrust of those ship engines. As they started up, they would nudge the booster in an initial direction, and so the booster would essentially sense
we are blessed
and then
with these
lean
views,
into it, and it'll react. The engines will gimbal, and then it'll continue the flip. That was the easiest option technically, but you do take some performance hits since you're essentially setting aside propellant to accommodate every
I'll make my life more
direction
difficult for clipping, whatever.
Exactly, but if we know which direction we're flipping, then we know how much propellant we will need and can instead use more of the propellant to burn longer during ascent, adding more velocity to ship and increasing how much payload it can ultimately deliver to space.
Yeah, so today
we're done with the
trusty Super Heavy here.
I couldn't speak.
We're
the pretzel distraction
is
done.
Straight up. So again, as you're separating from the ship, we want to get to here as you're doing that boost back burn. The fastest way is to just flip straight up and go into it. That's roughly what we did on Flight 5. It's the most direct way to get into that orientation for the boost back burn. What you don't want to do is when you flip all the way down like that, we did that on Flight 7, it takes you in a big loop, uses the most amount of prop, not efficient. We're at the point where we want to start kind of tuning it in and getting some extra performance out of the booster.
Yeah, exactly. That's called optimization.
That's right.
To accomplish this, we made some changes to the hot stage adapter, welding reinforced panels over the vents in the direction that we want the booster to go. So when the ship engines ignite, the thrust will push against the blocked vents, which means that the nudge will be in the direction that we planned for. And then when we go to the next generation of ship and booster, we plan to control the flip direction by fine-tuning the engine startup sequence on the ship.
Yeah, that's not the only
make a thruster nozzle
that we have
making
planned for the booster
nozzle.
Today. We're not attempting a catch, so we're going to try and gather additional data that's going to improve performance on future boosters. We're also going to try and see how resilient we are to things like losing an engine during the landing burn. By sending the booster out to sea, we're able to do these higher risk tests without risking the launch pad. As you might have heard earlier, we're going to be doing what's called a higher angle of attack. Basically, instead of coming straight down, we're going to tilt up a little bit. That gets you more drag on the booster. You're able to use just aerodynamic forces to slow you down. The slower you're going at the start of that landing burn, the less propellant you need, because really you're just focused on slowing down as much as humanly possible when you fire that up. So by already going a little bit slower, we'll get some benefits to our performance and our reliability on those burns.
It was a technology and cost issue, I believe.
There's definite uncertainty in how well the booster's grid fins and structure will be able to
and
control
also,
its
I think people thought it was impossible.
I
think there was like a mental block
if it isn't a smooth descent for the booster down to its splashdown point today.
Kind of like warp
drives
today,
the most important objective of this portion of the test
that.
will be getting actual flight data to help anchor our models. Now we're hoping to fly the next generation of super heavy boosters at even higher angles of attack. So this test today will give us a better idea of what is feasible. Now on top of all of this, we're going to see how resilient super heavy is to engine failures at the most critical times.
Because the second that SpaceX actually started recovering boosters, like any rocket company worth their salt has started investing in such technology. Look at Rocket Lab, Blue Origin, even look at the Chinese. Like the Chinese are going full into reusable rockets, or they're trying to at least, and it's smart.
This is going to act as a real-world
Exactly. I think that's 100% what it was. Recover the booster. What is this, Star Trek? Exactly. I think that's 100% what the attitude kind of was in the past. And now it's like, yes, actually, this is Star Trek, and we're going to make it 1,000,000% better. Fuck you.
The burn
which is kind of
going
cool.
to end while Super Heavy is still several hundred feet above the Gulf, so we expect it to make a pretty hard splashdown.
11 minutes.
In all, pretty eventful day for the booster.
And as many of you may know,
so the booster it's not going to be a soft splashdown. It's going to be a hard splashdown because they're doing some wacklery with it.
We land and
they're doing like a kickflip with this booster because they can. That's funny, bro.
Generations of Super Heavy until we reach its fundamental design, a fully and rapidly reusable and reliable rocket. All right, let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Jesse, my colleagues here in Hawthorne.
Bro's lost.
We can't wait to see the Super Heavy perform.
He sees himself on stream just now.
All of the work from our thousands of engineers and technicians in action today. Now, while this reuse milestone is incredibly important for Starship's development, Super Heavy boosters are not the only vehicles that we reuse here at SpaceX. We're big on reuse, and our Dragon fleet is another example of that reuse. And we actually control those Dragon missions.
The first thing I wanted to say is Dragon these nuts, but I know I shouldn't.
About a little bit earlier.
I gotta fucking grow up, you know. But
this month also marks a
one of these days,
for SpaceX,
none of these days, maybe even.
Anniversary of human spaceflight. Now, NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley got us started back on Demo 2, which was notable for being the first.
I remember that flight very well, actually.
Shuttle program in
Bob and Doug.
That was a good flight from U.S. soil. Now, in those 5 years, we have launched 17 human spaceflight missions.
That's actually crazy to think about. 17 human missions?
Polaris Dawn, with our first commercial spacewalk in history. And from
I'm sure I knew that
year,
somewhere in my brain,
but
it's the first time I've really thought about it that deeply.
We've flown a total of 66 crew in those 5 years,
really
and we are
impressive.
expecting that number to grow significantly in the coming years. Now, most recently on our From 2 mission, the crew offered unique glimpses into the orbital spaceflight experience. And this was honestly just so cool to see. Thank you to our Starlink teams for making everything with the From 2.
That's kind of terrifying, isn't it?
Being
right there by the window?
Feel like I was right there with them
Whoa,
in Dragon. They were
that's
living,
actually
they were
wacky.
Working, they were relaxing.
I haven't seen that footage yet. That's the first time me reacting to this footage. I've seen this picture.
Along for the ride, and that was really meaningful. Being invited up there really showed how these are just the early days.
I've been busy with work, man. It's been hard to.
And the vehicle
that's been
make all of
eating
that
a lot of my time, plus
Starship.
all the YouTube and stuff I've been doing.
Dan and Jesse, I don't know about you, but that is definitely a future I have wanted since I was a little kid, and I cannot wait to see us make it a reality.
Yeah, right there with you, Chris. It's the fact that we're getting close.
It's big smiles all around today. This is going to be a good launch.
The vehicle that's going to go is sitting on the pad right there. Like, that's endlessly exciting. All of that's going to include sending humans, all of the infrastructure for a permanent presence on Mars. And we're looking
8 minutes,
to sending
motherfucker.
The very first Starship to
light that
Mars
candle.
as early as next year.
Yeah, this will help prove that we can actually get to Mars with a focus on learning as much as possible while demonstrating what will be needed for Mars transit and landing. But before we can make
how
life
much can we get to
multiplanetary,
Mars?
we have to build the starships that will make this all possible.
That's right, and that's happening right here, Starbase, Texas, the gateway to Mars. This is where we're soon going to be launching up to 25 Starship launches per year from here at Starbase. And the place is changing every single day. We've grown quite a bit just in the last couple of years. There's a couple hundred employees.
I think I could be the best dishwasher on Mars.
Actual rockets.
I think I could do that.
We're in the process of expanding production and integration. We've got a target of 1,000 Starships a year we're going to try to hit. And recently,
1,000
we did become a city of our own.
What?
We're the first city in Cameron County in 30 years. And that's just going to help us scale more quickly, try to build out the best community possible for all the people that are building
like 3
the
a day
of humanity's place in space.
That's actually whack.
Starbase, pretty easily one of the most inspiring.
I thought it was going to be 300 a year, not 1,000 a year.
Planet. As usual, shameless plug. We're always hiring. Come help us build the gateway to Mars. Visit SpaceX.com/careers. You can see all of our openings.
And this is my first time in Starbase, and Dan, the Star Factory is a manufacturing engineer's dream. To be able to build a factory like this at such a large scale with such a large scale vehicle is so wild to me. And though I'm just visiting, Chris is hanging out right where I call home base. So let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, everything here in Hawthorne is looking good. The crowd is gathered, really excited to watch the hard work of all of their colleagues come to fruition here for Starship on its 9th flight test. Not tracking any issues.
Did you see the guy in the back jump?
That was cool. Do its thing
I
today,
rate that a 10 out of 10. I wish I had a sign.
And test a lot of those critical in-space maneuvers and operations that will be vital for the program's continued operations.
Like right here?
Dan and Jesse, we can't wait for liftoff. Let's have a good flight today.
Thanks, Chris. Now, if you're just now joining us, where have you been? But we're glad that you're joining us now. We are at T-minus just under 6 minutes until liftoff of the 9th Starship test flight. So far, the range is looking good. All the airspace and
the two towers in the back
area that we are going to be
it's hard to believe that there's 2 of them
is looking good for our test flight today.
5 minutes.
Weather has been great. It was a little rainy and windy this morning, but it cleared up. It looks beautiful.
I'm actually almost out of this soda, and I'm going to need to go get another
propellant
one.
loading continues on both
I don't know what to tell you.
All right, yeah, it is continuing. We're a little over 90% full on our booster. We are pretty much full in the main
Watch me fucking scurry away and be back.
Tanks. We're going to continue loading prop for about 2 more minutes. Once we're done with that, you've got just under 11 million pounds of liquid propellant spread across those 2 stages. After we get through all of that prop load, our stage 0 will get ready. The ground systems will go through pushbacks, clearing all of those fluid feed lines back to the propellant farm, getting ready for launch. We did just see they did a flap wiggle check, so the final flap check on the ship. We're doing final alignments of the guidance, navigation, and control system, our thrust vector control, essentially our steering, checkouts of the flight safety system. So everything progressing right now. If we do need to hold, that can come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's a point built into the countdown where we can pause to wait for any final checkouts, pressurizations, anything that we need to complete. We can hold there. We will only hold there if we're tracking an issue. We're not currently tracking anything that will hold us at T-minus 40 seconds. But if you've seen a Starship launch before, they can happen. We can push through them and then launch that day still.
Exactly, but when we do pass through T-minus 40 seconds, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, ship goes to internal power, and then after that, the quick disconnect or QD, arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, just shortly after T-minus 0. And once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, we do still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and see if we can proceed again back down to T0.
Good launch vibes. Let's
go. There are a couple of things, kind of gates in that timeline that if we pass through that and we hit a hold, we'd have to scrub for the day. One pretty visual one will be if the water starts flowing for that deflector system that's underneath the launch mount. That happens right around T-minus 10 seconds.
But
we're flowing water. We can't turn it off after it starts. And if we hit a hold, we're scrubbed for the day. We would need to refill those water tanks. We would also, at that point, need to refill all of the propellant tanks.
Okay, they're just talking about stuff that I hope doesn't happen. We're going to keep our fingers crossed.
In about 24 hours, so we can always turn around.
Pray that this launch goes
again tomorrow.
Fucking perfectly.
We are coming up on 3 minutes away from liftoff. We should be hearing that we're closed out of prop load on the ship at this point. Booster coming up shortly.
Wow, the weather just looks amazing there with Starship on the launch pad. Just about 2 minutes and 45 seconds from T0 with a lot of objectives for today. The booster, the Super Heavy booster flying today, will be flying for its 2nd time. Last flight was on Flight 7 and just turned around in 2 flights, which is pretty incredible. I'm super excited to see that booster fly again.
All right, we did just hear we are going to hold at T-minus 40 seconds. So we'll pass along some more information once we hear that reason. But again, that's not the end of the day. We can hold at T-minus 40 seconds for quite a few minutes. We eventually have to start looking at our temperature of all of our propellant on board. That's usually what drives us to, if we've held too long, we have to stand down for the day. So we are expecting a hold at T-minus 40 seconds. Sounds like we're going to be doing some additional checkouts on the booster Raptor while we're at that T-minus 40 second mark. So we will expect to see the clock pause at T-minus 40. And then again, we've got a couple of minutes. They can work through the issues. If we're able to clear them, we can still launch today. If it's something that we can't, we can always stand down, turn around, recycle, fly again tomorrow.
Again, that's really important. This is what terminal count is exactly for.
I'll be able to stream again
the
tomorrow
vehicle, monitoring the vehicle
I only
systems
work in the morning.
as it makes its way down to T0. And again, this gives us the ability to catch anything and be able to hold, as Dan has been saying, and recycle
demons.
if we need to,
Demons are coming
or
for
pause so that we can work through those issues and see if it's something that we need to stand down for. And as Dan mentioned, we will be holding at T-minus 40 seconds, so in about 20 seconds from now.
Yeah, so we'll hold there, and they'll work through these final checkouts on, sounds like just one of those Raptors on the first stage on Super Heavy, which, as you said, we're reflying it for the first time. 29 of those 33 engines have already been used in a launch, one of which has already
Now we see how long this hold lasts.
Twice, and we'll go for
and is getting ready for its third time. Right. And you just heard our flight director for the day, Joe Sliker. He just shared that we are going to hold at this T-minus 40 second mark. Keep an eye on one of those Raptor engines on booster.
That is a fully loaded vehicle, ready to go. They just have to get these last checks, and we'll be on our way to the terminal count. And that'll be Flight 9 under the belt. Onward to Flight 10.
If you're just now jumping in, we are holding still at T-minus 40 seconds. Watching one engine, waiting for temperatures to kind of get to a zone that we want them to on one of the engines on the booster, on the Super Heavy booster, getting ready for its second ever flight. We'll just continue to hold. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We held for
it's terrifying, though.
a while on the first attempt last time.
It's terrifying when they hold.
And
you know what I mean?
We triggered a different issue on the ground side.
I wanted to launch.
But again, this is exactly what it's for. This gives us the best chances at success.
They're going. They're going. Oh my God!
Rolling.
The hold is through.
All right.
30 seconds, everybody. Get ready. Hold on to your butts.
30. Let's listen in. Watch that first flight proven Super Heavy.
Get into a stance. Get ready. Get ready.
From Starbase.
World's most powerful rocket. 20 seconds.
T-minus.
Oh no.
Down to 1. Hit hold.
No way.
We did have a hold.
No way.
Like the clock jumped back to T-minus 40 seconds.
It's not. It's okay. It's just a hold. They can still hold.
All right. So we jumped out.
God damn it, bro! What is that? That's like the most.
I did not see the deflector go off. So hopefully we were right at around that T-minus 10 second mark.
And if we were before that T-minus 10 second mark, we do have the ability
to recycle. This is unmanned. This is a test article.
To T-minus 40 seconds.
They have test deployment Starlinks. I think 8
so
test Starlinks. It looks
like this time it was a ground side issue. We're taking a look at this real quick. So again, we're gonna.
Okay.
We're back at T-minus 40. We're gonna hold for a little bit.
They're good. They're good on the hold. They didn't lose the deluge.
Still not scrubbed for the day.
They're not scrubbed.
Give them a couple of minutes to work through.
They have a few more minutes to work through issues.
For several minutes.
And then they have to go.
Start looking
or they have to call it.
Your bulk temperatures and all of your propellant on board the vehicle. We're not actively replenishing the propellant on board Super Heavy and Starship. And so you don't have essentially forever to hang out before things start to warm up. And you do want to make sure your temperature's in a really stable range for a healthy startup on Raptor engines. So they're going to work through this issue. We can continue to hold here for a couple of minutes.
Come on.
What's launch without a little added excitement?
That was the most, like, God damn it, dude. I was so ready. What a tease, dude. That 40 seconds.
So cumulatively, we've held for a little over 3 minutes between the two holds.
Okay.
Again, this is a ground side issue on our tower. The techs are looking through the data right now to see if it's something that we can either work through or if it would cause us to have to stand down. So we're continuing to hang out with them, holding at T-minus 40.
If you're just joining us, we did initially hold at T-minus 40 seconds. We continued the count, but recycled before we got to T-minus 10 seconds.
That's so dicey, bro.
And so we're back at a hold at T-minus 40 seconds. Waiting for more information. The team is checking out.
You could do it.
To see if we can continue today.
It's a tower vent. It's probably fine, I think. I really wanted to do 39, 38, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Come on, let's get through this hold. Let's go.
And we're continuing to hold here at T-minus 40 seconds.
They can hold for like a while. They can hold for a little while.
Just about 5 minutes now.
But I don't think they have too many more minutes they can hold.
As the teams evaluate if we can continue to T0 for Flight 9.
No. No.
All right, so it sounds like we're coming to a resolution.
Okay. That's good. Maybe. Fingers crossed. Come on, Starship. Please. Please. The suspense is killing me.
So we are getting to a resolution. We're going to reset everything.
Does that mean that the Elon talk thing that's going to happen after this is going to be canceled too? Question mark. Who the hell knows? I guess I could check Twitter. I could be on Spitter checking it out, but nah. I'll let it
All right, so we're going to see the clock. It is now rolling.
Is this real?
Here we go.
We saw an issue with that.
Okay, it's real.
Ship.
It's real. We're going.
There is a
30
chance
seconds.
That automation will
Let's
kick us out
go.
again if we
all right,
encounter
this
the
time for
issue.
real. Get into another
But
stance.
for now, the clock
Get ready.
is rolling. We'll see if we pass around that T-minus 10 second mark.
5. Okay. Okay, they're going. It's going. Ignition. There we go. And it's clear of the tower. Ooh-wee. There she goes. Flight 9. That's a reflow booster right there. All the engines look good. Hell yeah, bro. Wow, look at that thing. Look at it vibrate.
T-plus 40 seconds, it's one hell of a sight from here. We see it arcing right over top of us. We see 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on Super Heavy as it starts to ascend skyward.
W close up. 33 good engines.
Coming up on maximum aerodynamic pressure, then only about a minute and a half until we get into hot staging.
Wow, Dan, that was incredible.
Wowee.
We could feel the building shaking here.
And now you can see the effect of the lessening pressure of Earth's atmosphere as the altitude increases.
We're just about a minute away
you can see that plume start
shutting
to
down
expand.
those engines on the booster. Again,
cool,
this booster is flying for its second time today.
Reality, I guess. Not something
All right,
you see
so hot staging coming up a little under a minute.
All right, we're in.
We're going to see all but the
going,
three
guys.
center engines
This is awesome.
turn off on the
now,
booster.
will it survive?
So our version of MECO,
will
most
Starship
cut
itself
off.
survive?
And then just a few seconds later, hoping to see 6 engines ignite on ship to push it away.
Wow.
All right, hot staging, about 30 seconds.
All right, there we go.
And definitely keep an eye on which way the booster flips. First ever directional flip we're going for today. Should flip straight up.
Doing a crazy, let's keep an eye on this. This could be interesting.
See those engines powering down?
Oh,
booster engine cut off.
Most engines cut off, basically, I think it is, right?
Ship ignition. Stage separation.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Incredible flip by Super Heavy Booster, and you can see those 6 engines,
it just
those
did a
3
flip.
engines on the ship
that was
ignited.
Wild. And all engines relit.
6 healthy Raptors running on ship on its way to space. Peek that
ship
engine
doesn't
view.
look
Booster
like it's got any
back.
issues.
Chris, how's it looking over there in Hawthorne, man?
It is looking
chamber pressure is nominal.
It is looking absolutely incredible here in Hawthorne. As we said, 6 healthy engines on ship. We've got 13 out of 13 engines on the booster.
There's
now
the
down
booster.
to those 3, which is what we expect in the final moments of the boost back burn. Now, as a reminder, we are not recovering the super heavy booster today. We are instead going to do some
shutdown.
And there we had a good shutdown of the boost back burn. Next up will be the jettison of that hot stage.
Oh, there it is. It's what?
Nominal.
Great call out there that everything looking nominal aboard the super heavy vehicle, which is returning to Earth, and we're going to be doing some experiments with it, including a higher angle of attack re-entry.
That was cool, seeing the hot stage separate there.
As it gets closer
it always is
to
watching it.
Gulf.
It's like a UFO flying away
because
or
of these
whatever.
tests not recovering it, we are sending it to the Gulf on purpose to do those tests. But again, you see the booster on the left-hand side of the screen. You see ship with 6
it's just because
engines
Poseidon demanded
continuing
another
its ascent to
sacrifice.
its planned suborbital
If we don't sacrifice enough ships to
everything
Poseidon,
going very well so far for Starship's 9th flight. Now 4 minutes 15 seconds.
I think they will, but maybe
Great
for the
views
next
from
time.
inside of the aft engine area.
This time I
of
think
ship.
they see
They're
it more
looking
valuable
at
to
those,
get more data
3
out of
sea
it by
level
testing
and
it
3
harder,
Raptor engines on the right-hand side of your screen. The booster doing its launch
we don't see any
dump,
wiggly
liquid
bits
oxygen
this time.
dump,
This
so
is
because
looking
we
good
don't
on
need
ship.
some of that liquid oxygen propellant in its tanks. We vent that propellant out to lessen the booster's mass as it comes in for its landing. Just absolutely gorgeous views watching these 2 vehicles do their respective things in the skies over Texas here today. And Dan, we're approaching the 5-minute mark into the flight. Super Heavy is descending rapidly. What can we expect here in the next few minutes as it does its atmospheric tests?
Yeah, now as we had talked about, Super Heavy might not have a very smooth ride down. We're going to be putting it through this higher angle of attack.
Okay.
We're kind of pitching it up a tiny bit, increasing
So
drag.
they are really testing
We've done this in wind tunnels. We've done this in computer modeling. It shows that
they're testing how
the
strong the
isn't
booster
great,
is, basically.
but only one way to really prove it out, and that's to get real-world data. So here comes Super Heavy.
Alrighty,
it should
let's
be
see.
Igniting for its landing burn in just about 40 seconds from now.
Wow, look at that thing screaming in. Look at
that. We're going to relight
that's the
13
reheating
engines, then
of
bring
the
that down
atmosphere
to
on
3
the engine
engines.
bells.
As we talked about earlier, we will be intentionally shutting down.
That's friction.
We will be shutting down one of those 3 center engines intentionally to push the limits of the Super Heavy booster.
Ship Raptor, chamber pressure is nominal.
Oh my God.
And continuing to see 6 healthy engines on the ship.
It's hard to see it right now.
3
it's like
sea level and 3 vacuum engines still ignited as the Super Heavy booster is making its way back down to Earth.
We can see those grid fins doing some heavy work.
Booster landing startup.
Ignited for our landing burn.
I can't see shit. We'll get good replays probably, but that was
may have ended with that landing burn.
I don't know if it survived the landing burn.
Does
I'm going to
look
be
like
real
we
with
lost telemetry from the booster.
Now, I'm going to be real with you. It
That
looks like that
burn.
angle of attack was a bit
Did you see confirmation that the booster did demise?
It's dead, Jim. Yeah.
So the booster's flight
the booster is dead
before it was able to get through landing burn.
Salute
again,
to the booster. Booster 14, you did a good job. It flew spectacularly.
In the
they got good telemetry and good data off of
we were getting
testing
live
it
data back
to its
the entire
absolute
time
limits
through that high angle of attack flight. So that was something that was really vital for
chat.
us to get during this reuse. First free flight of booster in the books.
Big sad.
All right, ship has about 2 minutes left.
But the ship is still
about
doing
2
good.
minutes, we expect all 6 Raptor engines.
We're going to get an engine cutoff
that will
soon.
be SECO.
And then
basically
they should be doing
a
deployment and a relight. So.
And these are some incredible views, Dan.
It's not over yet.
The aft end of the ship. Watching as the
no fancy landing this time, so a little bit less exciting than the last one, I would say. But you know what? As long as the ship survives, I'm okay with it. What is that coming off?
We just heard the booster. But all right, we got about a minute left into this burn.
All right, peace out. Thanks for popping in. Have a good night.
As we get through the final stages into its ascent, we're expecting it to start to cut those engines off in about 45 seconds.
Terminal guidance.
All right, they're real close now. Real close to that 24,000.
30 seconds to go.
Oh, look at the shadows on the clouds there.
In the final stages of this ascent burn.
25, 26.
We did see shutdown of the Raptor engines.
Okay, vacuums are shut down. Now
we do stagger these, so we do the Raptors first. Those 3 have shut down successfully. Sea levels still running.
Yeah, you can see the sea levels are running.
Ship engine cut off.
And cut off? Oh, wow. It's alive. The ship is alive. For now.
Engine cut off, the 3 most beautiful words in the English language.
And great call out that we had nominal insertion.
And they're there. Like, they're not, the engines haven't left the back of the ship this time. They're there. W.
An incredible
W's in
test
chat
so far today. We reflew a super heavy booster for the very first time in 9 test flights. Ship is in its orbital trajectory. Again, it's going to remain suborbital for its mission today. But it ignited It ignited all 6 of its engines and made it all the way through SECO just now.
Alrighty. Now, we have to see what happens with the deployment test.
What a moment.
And
incredible.
All right, but I mean, that's still lots to come for the rest of this flight.
Deployment test. Sorry, I'm like losing my mind.
I need to collect myself. Hey, Chris.
This just looks amazing.
How's it going over there in Hawthorne, man?
Like,
how's everybody
this
doing?
Is really good orbital.
I think the elation and the excitement and the happiness at what we just saw achieved carried through across all of our sites. What an incredible view to see Starship.
They're going to deploy
orbiting the
8
Earth,
of these test
just under 11
satellites,
minutes into our mission.
and they're going to relight an engine.
To see all of this,
and then we're going to see if it survives.
Especially to see all of the team's hard work in action here today. As guaranteed, it has been an exciting evening so far.
This has been awesome. They've made it.
We lifted off a little bit after 6:30 p.m. after a couple of holds that were triggered at the T-minus 40-second mark, but we were able to clear those, one on the Raptor, one on the tower, and we were able to lift off successfully from Starbase. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on the Super Heavy. All 6 engines lit on ship, bringing it to its planned suborbital trajectory around Earth. But as Dan said, we've got a lot still coming up in our flight sequence. So coming up at about T plus 18 minutes, 26 seconds, we'll have the first deployment of simulated Starlink satellites planned from Starship. That will be followed at about T plus 37 minutes and 49 seconds by the relight of a single Raptor sea level engine.
Sometimes it's hard to tell, like with the perspectives or whatever on the cameras, you can't really tell what's going on.
Burn for future Starship missions that will go orbital. And then, of course, one of the biggest tests yet to come is the new heat shield modifications to Starship. And that'll start with re-entry into Earth's atmosphere at about the T plus 45 minute mark, which should take about 16, 18 minutes to complete. And now today's re-entry is going to test that heat shield like we said.
What is that?
Specifically, how Starship will hold up to 100 missing heat shield tiles on its thermal protection system. Now, we purposely took those 100 tiles off over very critical areas of the vehicle to be able to safely test on a flight like this suborbital trajectory into the Indian Ocean what might happen on an operational flight in those areas if we were to lose the primary heat shield tile over Starship. So very critical test coming up. And then after that, we'll have the final descent where we will again be pushing Starship to its limits. We definitely pushed the booster to its limits today to gather data, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing on that ship, seeing how the ship handles various flight conditions that we will need it to fly in as we look to one day soon bring ships back to Starbase for catch and reuse. Now, while there are payload simulators on Starship for deployment today, as we will see in a few minutes, the primary data and the primary payload for today is the data. And today, just like with Starship's previous test flights, that data is coming to us courtesy of our Starlink network. In fact, it is from Starlink that you are seeing these wonderful views of ship in space right now. So, and I can't wait to see Starlink really provide those epic views and that data transmission during reentry, which is very, very critical to getting that data during reentry.
The heat shield looks like it's
Dan and Jesse,
well.
It's been an exciting day so far. There's more to come.
I'm really looking forward
as
to
we
seeing
get ready for Starship's
re-entry.
first ever payload deploy. What can we expect next
We haven't seen a
year
re-entry in so long. It's been since like Flight 5.
Thanks, Chris.
Since we got a re-entry.
Just going to reiterate, thank you to the Starlink team for
Flight 7 rather.
Or Flight 6 rather. Views today. In a few minutes, Starship
Flight 5 and 6 gave us our re-entries.
8 Starlink simulators, similar in size to our next-generation Starlink satellites. The Starlink simulators will be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship, meaning they will passively re-enter the atmosphere, just like Starship. With tests like these, we can see how Starship's payload deploy systems work in flight while ensuring that the simulator satellites pose no safety risk to people on Earth or for other satellites in orbit. Now, this also ensures that any parts of these simulator Starlink satellites that do survive re-entry splash down harmlessly in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
And then before we get there, though, we're going to have to open up that payload deploy door. So we've only ever done that one time before.
Because that could be a catastrophic failure.
Someone on the internet, please check me. But that was the only time we ever opened it. And we've had Starlink simulators on the last 2 flights, but we haven't gotten to this
Probably
moment
not.
yet
I think that should be pretty easy.
Open up the
that should be relatively
door
straightforward.
And start deploying these. It's
going
to be
the Pez
pretty
dispenser
cool.
Works
We've
or
got
whatever.
them stacked
and then I'm
inside
interested to see whether these hinges are going to melt through or not
and we'll have potentially a couple of views. You saw one camera pop up.
Oh, look at that.
There we go. Look inside of the payload bay of Starship. You can see them stacked down in the middle of your view. There's kind of 4 on either side, so they're sandwiched on top of each other, a stack of 4 right behind each other. And then we're going to pop the door open. It's on the right side of your screen, so we'll see that open up and then start firing those Starlink simulators out into space.
Cool.
We are expecting the payload door to open in a little over a minute from now. And then once that payload door is open, about a couple minutes later is when we will start dispensing those Starlink simulators.
That's
what a
view
great
right
view.
at the bottom of the stack. So should be able to see them kind of firing out from right there. So really cool. And eventually these are going to carry dozens of the next generation of Starlink satellite into space, and those are going to enable some truly insane things in terms of speeds from space and what we're able to do. Starlink's been really great for Starship, obviously. Getting live video back is really cool, but just the amount of high-speed telemetry, everything we're able to get back is insane. And for a development program, that's kind of everything. We're in excess of 100 130 or 160. My numbers are fuzzy right now, just like my brain is, but well in excess of 100 megabits per second of downlink, and a lot of that gets eaten up by video. We've got dozens of cameras across Starship. We added several more for this flight. You saw a couple of those as we have essentially 360 degrees. Oop. Open the pod bay door, Hal.
Open the pod bay door, Hal. That's cool. Alrighty. Let's see.
And we are expecting the payload door to open.
This whole launch feels like just sitting on the edge of my seat. I feel like I was sitting on the edge of my seat for the actual launch, and now I'm sitting on the edge of my seat for this, and then I'll be sitting on the edge of my seat for re-entry, and then soft landing. Oh man, what a good day. What a good launch. W launch. You know that because the booster exploded, though, every news organization is going to be like, it was a failure.
It was unable to
Starship flight was
all
a
the way
failure.
open, so they are going to close it back up.
And all of us are just like...
Hal told me no. Said, I'm sorry, Dan. Can't do that.
I can't
Looks like
do
we
that,
won't get
Dan.
the door open today.
I can't open this door for you.
But that's okay. This is obviously a test we want to be able to do before we're deploying full-on Starlinks. But the real focus for this, now that we are in space, is getting to that reentry. That is the most critical phase of Starship that we still have to prove out.
Okay. Things are happening? Oh, no?
All right, well, so it does look like we're not going to be able to deploy Starlinks today, but we should have pretty frequent views from Starship. They might cut in and out.
So the door is jammed.
Every once in a
while,
I
hear
but
from that.
Should be pretty regular.
The door is jammed.
We are in darkness right now, so might be a lot of black. But the cool part is when we get to reentry, it's going to be daytime.
Yes, and we did that on purpose
so
that we can get some live daytime views
the deployment test has failed.
Ship is returning back to Earth.
Shit.
All right, so we are
failure
going
one
to take
of the
a
day,
break.
I guess.
Enjoy these views as we get them. Enjoy the tunes. We'll be back in a couple of minutes when we get ready to relight one of those Raptor engines on orbit. See you soon.
Now this is where I have to be careful. I think this music is copyright. So we'll cut the elevator music here and we'll keep it silent and I'll just talk. I'll just talk, man. I'll just talk. All right. Well, this has been pretty awesome, honestly. I mean, you know, sad that the booster didn't survive its hard landing or whatever. But I'm sure they still got really good data out of it. That's the thing, is like this is a test program. This is a program designed to like build another booster and go again, right? So it's kind of cool that they actually design things based on that. Like the way that they're testing is based off that whole like design principle, which I think is very, very cool. It's just from the outside looking in, it doesn't look as sexy maybe because it's like, oh, we weren't perfect. But what in reality is perfect, right? Like nothing is perfect. And in fact, most things fail because of like imperfections that nobody even noticed. And it takes like years sometimes to figure out what actually went wrong. Especially like you look at some of the old like ocean liner related stuff. And I feel like this type of stuff is actually kind of similar to that in terms of like the scale of project that you're building and like the economies of scale and, you know, the issues of reusability and whatnot are kind of similar in that way. concerns of maintenance, but take it to like a millionfold complexity, because you're talking about, you're not talking about being in the ocean, you're talking about being in low Earth orbit or deep space, which is a lot more hazardous in some sense, and a lot more can go wrong. Oh wow, look at that. It's like right over the middle of the Atlantic already. Isn't that amazing? How fast it's going? It's been 21 minutes. It's just like tearing by. Fucking cool, dude. This was a cool launch. Seeing Booster 14 actually work like that after they caught it. Like they caught that thing. They caught Booster 14 and then they refurbished it. What was it? It was the Flight 7 booster. So they caught Flight 7 booster, they reused it, refurbish it, get it ready for Flight 9. And then, yeah, here we are. Flight 9, chilling. That booster fucking does its thing, gets some good data, dies honorably, and the ship survives. The ship doesn't explode this time, at least not yet. And we'll see if it actually makes it through reentry. It's gonna be awesome. I think it would be about 20 minutes before reentry. So we'll stick it out. I'm gonna message my message the boys. We usually do games on Tuesday nights, so let them know that I'll be a little bit late tonight. Doing another playthrough of Baldur's Gate. Oh man. Why is this elbow so itchy, bro? I sure hope this itchy elbow is a sign of immense good luck. Because if it is, man, is it going to be some hella good luck. Because it is itchy. It itches with a passion. Now they're waving. Wave, everybody. Wave, chat. Wave at the people waving. W SpaceX, W Flight 9. Come on, Ship 35. Let's survive re-entry. Let's do it. We get to see onion plasma again, too. We'll get to see that. That's going to be awesome. Such a blessing to be able to watch this stuff. Look at all the Raptors in the background. Cool. Let's see what they got for music now. It's like like scary loading music. Pass on that. Try to get a Fortnite stream in tomorrow, maybe. We'll see how that ends up going. It'll be later in the day, though. Like I said, I work in the morning, so probably be done around 2 o'clock. Now I have to get home and whatnot, so. Oh. I don't know when they're going to do the engine relight test. Huh. And the telemetry down there doesn't look like it's ideal, does it? It appears to be performing the helicopter maneuver, which might be fine. But it's just interesting. Interesting to note. We still don't have any views of the ship for a little while. All we have is the telemetry here, showing us how fast it's going and how high it is, and then this little thing that sort of gives us an indication of what it's doing, whether it's pitching down or nose up or whatever, but it appears to be performing the seesaw maneuver, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We haven't made it to this point in a while. It had, like, you know, the last two ships exploded, so we didn't get to see what happened. We didn't get to see this. Like, literally, I think it basically booster landed on the last couple of flights, and we just, like, pieced out because the ship exploded and, like, disappeared into the distance as, like, a glowing rainbow. Very high energy glowing rainbow. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens. Oh, we're getting something. What do you see, chat? It's like the most scuffed camera view of all time right now. They don't have very good connection. Oh, there's a flap. Okay, the music that they've got picked out for that is a little bit wacky, bro. I think I'm happy with my decision to keep it muted. Huh. All right, it appears to be descending a bit. Down 7.
Trajectory, as you can see in some of the views and from some of the telemetry, we are in a little bit of a spin. We did spring a leak in some of the fuel tank systems.
They are spinning
Starship,
out of control, is what
a lot of those are used
that
for
this
your
is.
attitude control.
They are deja vu
And so
helicoptering out of
we've
control.
Essentially lost our attitude control with Starship. We are still on a path toward re-entry. We are suborbital, so no matter what, we are going to enter. However, this lowers the chances for it to be a controlled re-entry. So if you think back to Flight 3, when we had something similar happen, just the end symptom of a loss of attitude control, we were in a roll by the time we hit re-entry. So we are going to re-enter. We should hopefully still have views. The Starlink satellites are pretty robust to still maintaining contact. We've got 4 of those terminals on the vehicle.
Well, it looks like we're not going to survive re-entry.
Contact even when we are in a spin, essentially. So we should hopefully continue to keep live views. It's going to still be dark until we get a little bit closer to entry, as we are a little bit. We're coming up on Africa. I believe we do swing just to the south of that continent. And by the time we start heading out over the Indian Ocean, we'll start heading into a sunrise.
Literally power drifting over Africa. Like,
not looking great with a lot of our on-orbit objectives for today, where we were hoping to do the PEZ deploy and relight an engine, and then really importantly,
it did survive through the atmosphere.
Really
like, it survived longer than it did last time, but still, this is
nonetheless, Starship
ideal,
marching forward towards that re-entry over the Indian Ocean, so we'll continue to hang with it.
Maybe they'll save it though. You never know. They could, like, maybe they'll be able to recover with the flaps when they encounter more atmosphere and they get more resistance to be able to actually make adjustments. But if they've blown a leak in the tank and that's the reason they're spinning out of control, I can't imagine that that's going to just, like, go away. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's just gonna fucking fix itself. And that's the music they've got for us. We're helicoptering out of control. See ya, Chief. Do 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 do. Oh, what is this? It's like an 80s exercise class, bro. We're in an 80s spin class, you know? Starship is spinning out of control. Helicopter. Is it supposed to do that? Nah. Flight number 9. Let's Beyblade! Fidget spinning its way across the Earth's atmosphere. Oh. That's fine. I got a feeling Flight 10 is going to be W. If Flight 9 not a complete success, that's fine. Flight 10 will be W. Shit. Am I going to have to eat another sock? I might have to. This might count as it blowing up. I don't know if this counts as a success, guys. Hypersonic drifting? Hypersonic orbital drifting? Shit, it wasn't third time's the charm. Damn. Block 2 has just been like the biggest disappointment of all time. Block 2 Starship? Like, get Block 3 in here. This is get these Block 2 garbage. Did I finish drinking my soda? I did. Fuck. All right, I'm going to be right back. I want to leave you with helicopter cam. I need more soda. I'm sad. Maybe we'll get to see some cool plasma dynamics if the camera stays on long enough, and we'll get to see how robust the vehicle is as it, you know, performs a hypersonic re-entry drift. But usually not what you'd like to see. You know what I mean? So I'll be right back here. We got about 10 minutes, I think, till re-entry technically, but you know, it's probably going to re-enter a little bit sooner because it's out of control. They have lost attitude control and they are at 146 kilometers, so they're suborbital, so at least they're going to fall back down to the planet. We'll hopefully get to see some cool views of that. Man, I feel like they're accelerating. Anybody else feel like that? Like it's starting to spin faster and faster and faster? All right, well, Godspeed, helicopter. Oh, is that some plasma starting to build up maybe? No, I think it's just it's spinning.
At this point, it is suborbital, so it's still headed to the exact same trajectory as before. We were not able to get that payload door open and deploy those nose cones. We've been dealing with some leaks on the ship. This is also what led to that loss of attitude control. So at this point, we are kind of in a spin, and we are also going to be that Raptor relight. If you've followed through the history of Starship, something similar happened, different cause but same symptom back on Flight 3, where we weren't able to maintain attitude control in orbit. And so we're gonna skip the relight of that Raptor engine while we're in space.
Well, I mean,
we are going to still
they don't have much of a choice.
Entry, but as we are not able to control the attitude of the ship, as we get into entry, it will enter in whatever orientation it is in at the time, which does not bode well for the ship's heat shield.
It's got 50% chance, 30% chance of hitting it right. If it hits it right, it could be okay. Right, guys?
It is definitely coming down. It is definitely heading to the Indian Ocean, but our chances of making it all the way down are pretty slim. So
slim
we'll
to none,
get
I
as
would
much
say.
data as we can. We're still getting live telemetry,
we are getting
live
data
news from Starlink the entire
and it's doing
time,
a thing.
And we'll continue to stick with ship as it continues on. We are about 10 minutes away or so.
All right, 10 minutes, he says. All right, I'll be back. I need another soda. I need a depression soda and maybe another pretzel. And how's the helicopter treating us? Helicopter. Let's see what they got to say. Oh, it's more music. You ever seen something go Mach 20, hit the atmosphere, and explode? Well, you're about to. Beware the flashing lights, by the way. I should put up like an epilepsy warning here. Kind of matches with the music, though, you know? Okay, that is like the hardest thing in the world to look at. We need to... I don't know what I need to do, but it can't be like this. Okay. I'm making it smaller while it's looking like that. Yeah, that be fucking wigging me out, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Look at that shit, bro. Oh, no. Like, that looks like Hellmire, bro. What the hell? I don't think that's the way it's supposed to re-enter. Yeah, beware the flashing damn lights, bro. We might be turning this off. This is a little bit much, bro. Blinded by the lights. Oh, is this it? Is that the end? Nope. It's back. That's definitely plasma, bro.
Control of the ship and entered into a spin. The team made the call to do what's called passivate the vehicle, so we're essentially venting all of the remaining propellant overboard, and it's going to make an uncontrolled reentry. Important to note, this is a contingency that is planned for, and we clear the zones in the Indian Ocean where these entries could take place. So we're not going to come down exactly where we would have had nothing happened, but we do clear a tremendous amount of space out in the Indian Ocean in the event that we run into this. We understand that there are always risks, essentially, with these flight tests, with the hardware, but we don't really accept any compromise when it comes to protecting people.
And it is one thing to note is we will actually still re-enter in our planned airspace zone, which is good. That is exactly what we
That's good. That's really
for.
good to know, actually.
We do plan
like
for
the fact
if
that they know
something
that
does
already
go
is
a little
actually
bit off
huge.
nominal, that we have enough airspace cleared out.
Because it means that they're going to be able to do the mishap report a lot easier, a lot faster.
Really
they have like a lot more of the information that they need already. And like again, the mishap is like not as bad as say the last one.
Fully
I would
reusable
say
heat shield
more controlled,
never
more
been flown before.
just a little bit sad.
Space flight, and that's something that Starship still has to crack.
But this is what
so
testing programs are all about.
At this point, and we just started to lose some of our cameras, so it's very possible that we'll start to lose contact with Starship a lot sooner than we would have if it was a nominal reentry. So we are expecting it to break up essentially on its reentry over the Indian Ocean. So not able to do a lot of our on-orbit objectives today, but just the fact
Salute
that
for Ship 35 and Booster 14.
Space was just
they had a good run.
A really big moment
07.
for a lot of the team.
Yeah, and
onward to Flight 10, everybody. Onward to Flight 10.
Did fly for its second flight today. It
this
first
one,
flew on Flight 7,
marginal improvement
and it made
from last
all
flight.
the way to
I would say.
Our shutdown of all the engines
but still
and
not
stage
ideal.
separation, getting ship into its suborbital
we need to be a lot better than
today.
That.
It did ignite its 13 engines, but it did demise at that point. We did plan to fly it back down to Earth at a higher angle of attack, and we do expect it to stress the vehicle a lot more than what we've seen previously. So it's not unexpected that we did lose the booster before we got to the actual landing.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue to hang out and see if we get any updates on ship. It does look like we might be getting some video back soon. There we go.
That looks kind of cool.
So this is a view essentially.
That's plasma,
on the
but it's
top
like
part of Starship. You're looking up at the payload bay and towards the nose cone. So views are going to be a little bit scarce potentially, as again we are in essentially a tumble. We had lost that attitude control. So Starlink,
look at the fucking plasma
able
beam.
To feed this down. We are at the phase where we would expect entry to start within the next minute or so. So we are entering uncontrolled, but again, we're entering into an airspace and a sea space that is cleared and monitored in advance of launch and before we get to this phase.
That's good. You know what?
And with the views that we are able to see, you are seeing a lot of that plasma build up. During reentry, we do expect the vehicle to see about
there's that hinge melting away.
Degrees Celsius, and there you can
look
see
at that.
The flap feeling
Hinjo.
that
Oh no, I missed
there.
it. So we got a little bit of it
melting away. But
my
as
bad,
we
guys.
expected
I was slow
with
on
the
that. I was looking at the stream.
spinning of the vehicle, we are no longer controlling the attitude of the vehicle. So this is now at this point in the test flight. It is expected to see it begin to demise.
GG. The ship is dead. Starship died again, guys. Flight 9, big sad. It's over. But onward to Flight 10. Salute one last time. The booster did well for a reflown booster. It's just a little bit sad that it also died. And it is sad that the ship, the ship made it past the milestone that it did last time. But the out of control hypersonic drift is not ideal. So we'll look to see what they do for fixing that in the future. It's not entirely unsurprising because they didn't even make it to orbit, the last two. So how could they have known if there was like a 1 in 10 issue? You know what I mean? That comes up like just out of nowhere, like fresh on this new design. It seems pretty reasonable to me that that would happen. So tragic, big sad. Not what we were looking to see. Not this big resounding success we were all hoping for. I don't think as a collective spaceflight community. But you know what? That is spaceflight, and we're gonna look to see what they do to fix these problems, and we'll keep our eyes open on Spitter and wherever else, and yeah, I'll try to keep y'all updated as best I can. Of course, y'all should just go watch like NASA Spaceflight and Scott Manley and all those other folks and Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. Go check out everybody. Check out all the space channels. You know what I mean? I just do this, quite casually. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna head off for the evening. I'm gonna go play some Baldur's Gate. So peace, love, and happiness, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for 860 over on YouTube. We're almost at 1,000 now. That's gonna be really cool. We'll do like a big celebration stream or something when we hit that. So. All right, ta-ta for now. Peace, love, and happiness.